Hi, my name is Joan.A and I'm a lawyer. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Efris. So Efris has caused a lot of tension in the past weeks. Since the traders striked, URA was ordered by the president to suspend the penalties that are incurred when the system is not followed. What is Efris? Efris is electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. So Efris is a system that is supposed to collect VAT. What is VAT? VAT is value added tax. It is value added tax merely because it's charged on the value added on a service or a product. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the challenges that Efris brings about and the solutions that we can advise before the second meeting that we are going to have on 7th May of 2024. Efris was introduced recently under the Tax Procedure Code Amendment Act of 2018. And it provides that every taxpayer is mandated to issue an e-receipt or an e-invoice. So where a taxpayer fails to issue an e-receipt or an e-invoice, the taxpayer incurs a penalty under Section 73B of the Amendment Act that I just mentioned prior. This taxpayer incurs a penalty of 6 million. Where a taxpayer fails to use the Efris system, they incur a penalty of 8 million. So this is one of the challenges that is faced by the Efris system. For someone to operate under the Efris system, they are supposed to have a computer in place, software in place, they're supposed to have a printer in place, they're supposed to have someone who understands the tax system and can account for them, meaning someone has to employ someone, and that's already an unexpected expenditure that someone has to incur. For someone to have the Efris system in place, they have to have electricity in place, they have to have a good internet connection in place, which not everyone can afford these things. Another challenge that Efris presents is when there is no, let's say, electricity or internet connection, where someone has to operate offline. Where someone has to operate offline, the system issues a receipt that doesn't have a queue or a code. So meaning it reflects as a manual receipt. And this receipt can later on upload when the network goes back. The challenge with this is that if that receipt fails to upload within 24 hours, when the network goes back on, you're counted as someone who has not issued your e-receipt or your e-invoice at the end of the day, which can lead to you incurring a penalty. Over time, since Efris was introduced, I can give an example of cases. In 2021, there has been disproportionate issuing of penalties on taxpayers. What do I mean when I say this? For example, when you look at the case of Just Supermarket versus URA, you get to find that the e-receipts that were issued were amounting to 500,000, but URA issued a tax penalty of 78 million, which is a very harsh penalty compared to the value of the e-receipts. Why we say that it has been disproportionate in terms of issuing out invoices is that you get to find that at that point in time, it was hard for someone to understand at what point does URA issue e-receipts. Is it at the point of per invoice, per day, per month? In the case of embassy supermarket versus URA, the tribunal held that a penalty is supposed to be charged per month but not per day or per invoice. So you get to find that in this case, it clarified the position as to what penalties to be charged in case someone does not issue an e-receipt or in case someone issues an e-receipt. Remember, we say that we are going to look at the problems and suggest resolutions to these challenges at hand. Regulation 4 of the Tax Procedure Code, e-invoicing, e-receipting regulations of 2020 provide that there are multiple ways that URA can actually provide for e-receipting. URA can opt for another method instead of sticking to one method. It can opt for a very easier method that is easy for someone to use without the need of hiring experts, or that is easier for someone who is illiterate and cannot understand English, considering that Efris system is mainly in English. So it can opt for an option of, for example, using USSD codes. This can be easier for someone to issue an e-receipt to URA. Another solution to these challenges at hand is that URA has the alternative of not only teaching about Efris, but showing the benefits of Efris to the taxpayers. How does, at the end of the day, Efris benefit the taxpayer, and how does it benefit URA? To find the middle ground on how it benefits them in the long run. The other way that these challenges can be addressed is URA can show accountability of these taxes that are collected, so that this can instill confidence in the taxpayers at the end of the day to pay the tax they are required to pay with vigor at the end of the day. Well, this is all I had for you on Efris today. Until next time, I'm your host, Joan.A. Please like, share, and subscribe, and kindly share this information with someone who might need it.